This week, the Washington Commanders travel to Arlington, Texas to take on the Dallas Cowboys in Week 7. What feels like a must-win game for the Washington Commanders to get back above 500 before a really tough stretch of games coming up over the next month here in Commanders Nation. Welcome into the Week 7 preview here on the Commanders Report, guys. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We are currently in a sub-battle with our Cowboys channel here at Chat Sports, the Cowboys Report, who have currently put up 162 new subscribers. We are right behind them right now with 139 new subscribers. If we could pass them before Sunday, guys, I would really appreciate it. What we provide for you guys on this channel is free, informative, and entertaining Commanders coverage every single day and every single week. Of course, we have these weekly previews. We go live for most Commanders games with our live watch parties. We give you guys daily injury updates as well. And then, of course, we have our post-game coverage as well. Some new viewers, we are really counting on you guys. If you want to help us beat the Cowgirls this week off the field before we hopefully beat them on the field this Sunday, make sure you guys click that subscribe button and join the largest individually run Commanders news channel anywhere here on YouTube. All right, so now let's talk about this matchup here, guys, where the 3-3 Commanders will be going to AT&T Stadium to take on Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and the boys there. 2-3-1 through this point in the season. That Cowboys team certainly has an explosive offense, but also not the best defense in the world. So definitely one of the more lopsided teams in the National Football League. You're going on the road to Dallas here, which is a tough place to play. But first things first here, guys, let's talk about the players that will be out this week. There is quite a list for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Terry McLaurin will be out with that quad/hip injury. Noah Brown was just put on IR this week, so he'll be out the next 4 weeks, including this one. But then Trayvon Diggs had a quote-unquote accident that led to a concussion. You can't make that up. Then you got DeMarvion Overshown, who's been out all season to this point. Kalen Carson, one of their starting corners. Miles Sanders, one of their starting running backs, is out. Malik Hooker is going to be out this week, as well as their center, Cooper Beebe. Savon Revel is out for the season with an ACL tear, and Jonathan Mingo is out with a knee injury. Then there's more than a few questionables for both teams this week. For the Commanders, Deebo Samuel is questionable with a heel injury. It's been bothering him the last few weeks. Dorrance Armstrong dealing with a hamstring injury. He's questionable going into Sunday. Sam Cosmi, at this point, at the time of me recording this video, is questionable to go as well, but it's certainly trending in the right direction there. Zach Ertz is dealing with a mysterious shoulder and calf combination of injuries this week. I think he's probably going to play, but you never know. And then Jonathan Jones, full participant practice this week, coming off that hamstring injury that he was on IR for. Certainly looking positive that he could play on Sunday as well. But then on the Cowboys sideline, along with all the guys they have out, they have quite a list of questionables as well. Guys like Tyler Booker and Tyler Smith and Wanye Thomas, their safety. And they got Jack Sanborn with a concussion. Kevontae Turpin is questionable with a foot. Marshawn Nealon, one of their edge rushers, has an ankle. Donovan Wilson has an elbow. And then Mozzie Smith got added into the injury report late in the week here with an ankle injury. So we'll keep you guys updated on the statuses of those guys. And, of course, in our pregame coverage of our live watch party this week, we'll let you guys know which players are in and which players are out. Then you guys can take a look at the results for the Dallas Cowboys to this point in the season. They lost the opener in Philadelphia 24-20, but then they bounced back with a really close shootout win versus Russell Wilson and the Giants at home. Then they get embarrassed by Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson there on week 3 on the road. Then they tie the Green Bay Packers in a 40-40 tie at home. And then over the last 2 weeks, they've been technically they've been on the road there, but they beat the New York Jets, and then they lost last week to the Carolina Panthers 30-27. So that defense has given up a lot of points to this point in the season, guys. You take a look at their coaching and scheme breakdown. Brian Schottenheimer is their first-year head coach. He's got a 2-3-1 record with them as their head coach, and he also calls the plays here in Dallas. He runs a modern pro-style offense where it's full-field progression reads, really leans into the strengths of Dak Prescott. Then on the defensive side of the ball, Matt Eberflus runs a nickel base, zone-heavy defense with a 4-man front. Certainly somebody that's been around the block in terms of being a defensive coordinator, but not doing a great job this year in Dallas, if you ask me. But then you take a look at the roster breakdown here, starting with the offense. Dak Prescott is their quarterback. I do think he is a bona fide top 10 quarterback in the National Football League, one of the best mental processors in the game today. And then you look at his protection unit. He's going to have Tyler Guyton at left tackle. Tyler Smith, we'll see if he plays. He's questionable this week. Same thing goes for Tyler Booker. If those two can't go, that interior of the Cowboys offensive line is going to be definitely something that Daron Payne and Javon Kinlaw can take advantage of this week. Brock Hoffman is their backup center, who's been in for Cooper Beebe. And they got Terrence Steele, their right tackle. But then really where you guys got or these guys got some really great talent is at the wide receiver position. CeeDee Lamb, one of the best overall receivers in the game today. They got George Pickens as their number 2 wide receiver, a big downfield threat. He's been absolutely balling out since CeeDee Lamb's been out of the lineup, but CeeDee is expected to go in this game. Then Kevontae Turpin, we'll see if he's able to go. Speedster, if he can't go, we'll see a lot of Jalen Tolbert as their number 3 receiver. Javonte Williams has actually done a pretty decent job for them as their number 1 running back with Miles Sanders out, and Jake Ferguson is their starting tight end. But then you take a look at the defensive side of the ball. Their starting defensive line right now looks like Dante Fowler Jr. Of course, we're very familiar with him. Had over 10 sacks for this defense last year here in Washington. Then Kenny Clark and Osa Odigizua. Pretty darn good defensive tackle duo, if I do say so myself. Then Sam Williams, probably one of the worst starting defensive ends in the National Football League. Not having a great start to his season, but he is a starter for them at this point. But then the off-ball linebackers, Jack Sanborn, he's questionable. We'll see if he's able to go. And Kenneth Murray, man, I mean, watching the tape on Kenneth Murray, he is absolutely terrible, all right? So the Commanders should definitely take advantage of him. But then in the secondary with no Trayvon Diggs, that means Deron Bland, Kyer Elam, and then Reddy Stewart will be your starting cornerback trio. It's certainly a trio that you can take advantage of. I would expect a lot of zone coverage from the Dallas Cowboys, as you know they've been kind of running the entire season at this point. Wanye Thomas is questionable to go in this one, but if he goes, he'll be their starting free safety, and then Donovan Wilson is their starting strong safety this season. So still to come here on the Commanders Report preview. Keys to victory versus the Cowboys here in Week 7. My scouting report on quarterback Dak Prescott, and my score prediction for Commanders versus Cowboys here in Week 7. But before we get into the rest of today's show, let's have a word from our sponsor today at PrizePicks. And you and I, we both make decisions every single day. But on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. Football season is finally here, and you better believe I'll be getting my PrizePicks lineups in all season long. PrizePicks is super simple to play. You just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in. PrizePicks also puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. PrizePicks also offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. And a new feature from PrizePicks that's new this season that I absolutely love is injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks will not count it as a loss. So I'm taking the more on Dak Prescott passing yards in this game. I'm taking the more on Bill Croskey-Merritt rushing yards, and the more on pass plus receiving yards for Jaden Daniels. If you guys want to get your lineup in for this weekend's action, download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. So the first key to victory for the Washington Commanders to win this football game on the road and get to 4-3 is to not give Dak Prescott any easy answers. Plain and simply, guys, Dak Prescott is one of, if not the best mental processing quarterback in the National Football League today, maybe only second to Joe Burrow. He consistently finds the open receiver. He throws with incredible accuracy and anticipation. He throws the ball into windows way before the receiver comes open. It really is remarkable to watch, and his precision is something that really, I think, makes him a top 10 quarterback in the game today. He's really good with the football, doesn't throw a lot of turnover-worthy throws either. He just knows how to read a defense pre- and post-snap pretty much better than anybody in the game today, which makes him a top producer at the position. But the pocket presence can get him in trouble at times. If you can take away his first read and you can put quick pressure on him, he can be a bit shaky, and he's not the most dynamic out-of-structure playmaker in the world, all right? So, if that first a few reads are not there for him. He has to kind of improvise. He can do it, but he's not an elite out-of-structure playmaker. So that's certainly a world that the Commanders are going to try and get Dak Prescott to kind of operate in a bit more this week. But the way you beat Dak, guys, is you switch up the looks from pre-snap to post-snap. You make him hold the football just that extra half second longer, and then you get quick pressure on him. And, especially if some of these offensive linemen for the Cowboys are out this week, the Commanders' pass rush certainly will have some opportunities, especially on the interior, to get pressure on Dak Prescott. And if you can do that, you can have some level of success against Dak in this passing attack. But if you give him time to throw, and if you give him easy looks pre-snap to post-snap, he's going to carve you up all day long, which is why it's important for the Commanders to win the line of scrimmage on defense. All right, not only in terms of getting after the quarterback and getting after the quarterback with the pass rush, but also in the run game. All right, Javonte Williams has done a really good job for them over the last several weeks. And last week, the Washington Commanders defense kind of got pushed backwards by that Chicago Bears offensive line. So this week on a short week, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge here for this defensive line to turn it around, especially if they don't have Dorrance Armstrong. But if no matter what happens out there on Sunday, guys, if the Dallas Cowboys control the line of scrimmage, it's going to be a long day, I think, for this Washington Commanders defense because, plain simply, if you're not winning the line of scrimmage, you're not getting after the quarterback, Dak's going to be able to pick you apart all day long, and if that's going to be the case, they're going to put up a lot of points. But then another thing on defense that you got to do is you got to try and do your best. It's much easier said than done, but you got to contain CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Now, Pickens, over the last several weeks since Lamb's been out, has been unbelievable. But now this week, Lamb gets injected back into the starting lineup, and it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic works because Pickens was not seeing the ball a whole lot when CD was in there, but now that Pickens has emerged as a legitimate weapon for them over the last month, it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic and that distribution works out for this really dynamic wide receiver duo. But, Mike Sainristil, guys like, obviously Marshawn Lattimore and Trey Amos, these guys got to be coming to the pitch ready to play football on Sunday, and they're going to have to be ready to play some pretty tight coverage on these guys. It's going to be a major test for this secondary that's really struggled over the last several weeks here in Washington. But then on the offensive side of the ball, it all starts with the run game here in Washington. If you've been watching this offense throughout the season, you would know that. This run game led by Bill Croskey-Merritt has done some really good things. Last week, they had a little bit of a step back, multiple fumbles, all these different things. But I'm still a big believer in Bill Croskey-Merritt, guys, especially going up against a defense here in the Dallas Cowboys that has not really been able to stop much, whether pass or run, this season. So I do expect Bill Croskey-Merritt to get the football very early and very often, and I'm hoping that this offensive line, after having kind of an off week last week on Monday Night Football, hoping they can bounce back versus kind of a squishy Dallas Cowboys defense and move the line of scrimmage the way that they have for many weeks before that Bears game. So really looking forward to seeing if this run game can bounce back. That'll be a major key to victory for this team this week. But then Jaden Daniels, I think he's got to be special in this game, man. You're not going to have Terry McLaurin. You're not going to have Noah Brown. If Deebo Samuel plays, he's going to be, he's not going to be 100%. So he's going to have to really make up for that with his legs, with his playmaking. He's going to have to escape the pocket and run with it and scramble more than once because, plain simply, these receivers here in Washington at this point, it's a little bit of a shaky room. Even though I know Dallas's pass defense isn't great, there's probably going to be some opportunities there for Jaden Daniels to have to use his legs to move the chains. I do think that Dan Quinn will probably be very aggressive in this football game, going for it on fourth downs, things of that nature. And, with other stars in this offense out of the lineup this week, that's going to mean Bill Croskey-Merritt and Jaden Daniels are going to have to carry a very big proportion of the load here in terms of the offense if they want to keep up with this explosive Dallas Cowboys offense. And then if Zach Ertz plays, you got to feed him the football, all right? Zach Ertz is one of the best tight ends in the league in terms of finding soft spots in the zones, one of the best red zone targets in the National Football League. And plain simply, guys, the Dallas Cowboys play a lot of zones. So with Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown out of the lineup, you got to really make sure Zach Ertz eats versus the zone-heavy defense in the Dallas Cowboys. And, last week, Ertz had a pretty darn good game. I'm hoping to see the same thing from him this week, even though I know he's dealing with a couple of injuries. Then just some general keys to victory for the Commanders here. You got to win the turnover battle. You didn't do that last week, obviously. 3 turnovers really killed you versus the Chicago Bears. I would argue the Commanders are clearly the better team compared to the Chicago Bears, but you let them get that win on their home turf because you give up those 3 really bad turnovers, including that fourth quarter fumble, which led to the game-winning field goal from Jake Moody. So you got to win the turnover battle this week if you want a chance to win. And then if it's close late, and I think there's a decent chance it could be close late, this is a divisional matchup. I think that, these games come down to which team makes the play in the fourth quarter. In the Chicago Bears game on Monday night, the play was that fumble, and the Bears were able to get that play done. In this game, the Commanders are going to have to make that play if they want to win this football game. And unfortunately, I think that things are kind of pointing in the direction of a Cowboys victory. I do think it's going to be a shootout. I think both offenses are going to do some good things. I think Jaden Daniels will elevate this offense the way that he has the last 2 weeks. But I don't think it's going to be quite enough. I think Dak Prescott, that run game in Dallas is going to be able to move the football quite effectively. I think CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens are going to be eating versus this struggling Commanders secondary. And I just don't know if the Commanders defense is going to have answers to the problems that they've been having going up against this really good Dallas Cowboys offense on the road. If this defense can turn it around and put together a really good performance, I will be highly impressed because this Cowboys offense has been lighting up the scoreboard all season long. So it's your turn. Let me know down there in the comment section. Predict the score of Commanders versus Cowboys. Who do you think wins? Do the Commanders pull off a victory, or will the Cowboys get the win at home? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section, and we will be live for this game on Sunday starting at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, guys? Or actually, I think we're going live at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, an hour before kickoff there. So I think that that's going to be a very interesting ball game, guys. I think it's going to be very entertaining. Lots of points scored. So make sure you guys join us. We're going to be doing a Super Chat giveaway. We're going to be doing a lot of different stuff here on that watch party. An hour-long pregame show followed by live play-by-play and live reaction. And then, of course, post-game reaction show coming up after the game as well. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you don't want to miss any of that content coming up on Sunday. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Till next time, guys, hail to the Commanders.